Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another Aquarium Online Academy episode from wherever you might be in the world. My name is Kaya, and I am coming to you live from the Aquarium of the Pacific in front of one of our largest exhibit here, our tropical exhibit. But we are not going to be talking about all of the fish that you're seeing behind me. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite animals in the ocean. I hope you're excited too. We are going to be talking all about octopus today. And I'll probably be bringing up some of their relatives as well because I really don't feel like they get enough airtime. Now, do you know anything about octopus or do you have any questions about octopus? If so, I would love to hear from you throughout our program. You can text us in live at 562-286-1838, and my colleague James will be happy to give me all of those questions. He'll shout them out to me. And if you are not watching this live on Monday morning, you can always email us at live@lbaop.org, and one of our education team will get back to you within the week because we want to make sure we get your answers all about octopus. Now, like I said, I'm standing in front of our tropical exhibit. So you can take a look, see all of the fish swimming around. And the reason I decided to start here is because I already got a question about octopus before our program even started. I got a question wondering, where in the world are octopus found? Are they only found in tropical habitats? Do we have any off of our coast in California? And that is a great question. So there are 289 species of octopus, and guess what? They are found worldwide. They are found in oceans all over the world. There are even a few species that are found in the deep sea. We might have some pictures of those to take a look at because they look very different from their other relatives. But most octopus do live in tropical habitats just like this one. Because when we dive a little bit deeper into the anatomy of an octopus, you'll understand that they spend a lot of time near reefs and rocks and places where they can hide. Any ideas why they might want to hide or need places to hide in? If so, go ahead and text us in, give us your thoughts. So if we're looking at this habitat behind me, I'll step out of the way, let you get a good view. You can see that we have lots and lots of rock structures here. There's lots of different colors, not as bright as if we were looking at a real live coral reef, but we can still get an idea of that. So there's so many different places for octopus to hide. Oh, let me get out of the way of our beautiful eagle ray swimming by, had to make an appearance. That's our male. We do have two here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. But yes, back to octopus. So most of them are found in tropical habitats like this, but we do have a few species that are found off of our coast. I'm wondering if we can take a look at any of those and get an idea of what those octopus look like. Oh, it's an octopus I don't know the name of. Perfect. I think this is the two-spot octopus. Ah, great. I got it right, you guys. And this is also a good look at an octopus so we can start making some general observations of parts of an octopus. So first of all, why is it called the two-spot octopus? So I guess that because of this right here. Did you notice that? It has that big old spot right here. Just that one out of the rest of the body is totally distinct. So of course they can change their colors, but having that distinctive false eye spot is meant to trick predators. It's meant to make other animals think that there is maybe a larger animal than it really is. And as we know, octopus are the masters of disguise. So this is, on this particular species, just one other part of being able to blend in and hide and try and trick animals around them. All right, so if we make some quick observations here, and if we think about where an octopus gets its name from, I have a feeling you all know how many arms an octopus has. So you can go ahead and shout it out at the screen or text it in if you want to prove to me that you know exactly how many arms they have. I'm not going to count them, but they do have 8 arms here. Now you might be wondering, Miss Kaya, why aren't you using the word tentacle? So arms and tentacles are actually two different things. We often use them interchangeably because they look really similar and they function similarly, but octopus do not have tentacles. They do have 8 arms, which we can see are all in different directions here. Oh, great. We're going to see this is Groot, our giant Pacific octopus. We can see a great view of those arms as he explores his exhibit. What else do you notice? What is all over those arms and what are they doing? And my friends, when we watch this octopus swimming around, notice how it swims. Is it moving all at the same time? Or are the arms moving in different directions? What do you think? So I'm noticing that all 8 of those arms, and look, you can really see how massive this octopus is. So this is a giant Pacific octopus, which is the largest species of octopus out there. They can get up to 100 pounds. And if you spread their arms all the way across, kind of like he's doing now, they can be 16 feet across or 4.8 meters if there's anybody watching in another part of the world. So this octopus can get really, really, really big. And to our first question about whether or not we have octopus off our coast, this is a species that we find. Not here in Southern California. They prefer colder, deeper waters. So they are found up north, more like Monterey, and up the northern Pacific coast there. But this is something that if we're lucky enough to see diving, we can find them here. Although this species in particular spends a lot of time hiding. Okay, my friends, so this is the exact same species that we were just looking at, but it looks a little bit different to me. What do you guys notice? What happened? All right, so first off, I'm noticing all of these little like bumps or spikes right here. What's happening there? Is he having a bad skin day? Maybe. And then I'm also noticing the colors are pretty different. So I'm still seeing that red, but this kind of looks like a candy cane, right? Maybe he's just getting in the holiday spirit here at the aquarium. So what he's doing is what he's demonstrating to us is their amazing ability to change their skin. Oh, nope. Now we're moving those arms around too. All right. Oh, and now he's getting red. Maybe I made him blush a little bit by talking so much about him. All right. So before I get into his camouflage abilities, I'm going to talk a little bit more about those arms. So those arms can move independently of one another, and those suckers that are all on their arms can also move independently of one another. So what are those suckers doing? Those suckers can smell and taste. And actually 3/4 of all of the neurons that octopus have are in their arms. So it's kind of like it's a little hard for us to imagine because their systems are so different, but they are able to sense and make connections with their arms. So they can move independently. One can be over here sort of thinking, oh, maybe there's some food here for me, while another arm is actually already eating something. So their arms are pretty spectacular part of their body. And those suckers are also very strong. Every single one of these on the giant Pacific octopus specifically can lift 10 pounds. So just think about if you're working out with dumbbells and you're using maybe 10 pounds, each one of those is able to lift that amount. And they have about 200 per arm, which means this octopus has over 2,000 of those suckers on them. So they are very, very strong and capable animals. Now, I did get a few more questions in. I got a question if there are any octopus in the canals of Amsterdam. That's an excellent question. I'm going to have to say I don't think there are any species native. But, who knows? Maybe there are some that have fallen off some boats or escaped some aquariums over there. I have not done any research on the canals of Amsterdam, so we'll have to get back to you to see if there have been any sightings. But if you're out there in Amsterdam, please let us know. Text us in if you've ever found any. I also got a question from Ione. Hi, Ione. Thank you for watching all the way in Oregon, who's asking, when do they ink? Ione, I'm going to put that question right back at you. When do you think they ink? Why would an octopus ink? Do we have any? Oh, here we go. All right, so this octopus squeezing down. We see some color. Oh, and there's the ink right there. So what do you think? Do you think that's a happy octopus or a not so happy octopus? So this is something that they do when they are feeling scared or threatened. So in this case, for this octopus, I have a feeling it was probably because the diver was coming towards it with the camera, trying to get a good shot. And that octopus was saying, no, thank you. Please leave me alone. Let me hide in peace. I am not comfortable right now. Woo, get away from me. So what is that ink exactly? So honestly, it's kind of like a mucus. I'm looking to my coworker to confirm that yes, it's like a mucus. It's like a big black inky ball that they have in a special organ in their body that they then spit out their siphon if they are trying to get away from something. So imagine if you were just swimming along and then you saw this octopus and you were like, oh, cool. And then all of a sudden it threw a gooey black ball in your face. Would you be interested in chasing after that octopus? Probably not. And that is usually what an octopus will do to get away very quickly. So octopus need lots of forms of defense because they don't have any hard outsides. They don't have shells. They don't have an exoskeleton. And they have no bones. They have no hard teeth or claws. So their only form of defense is really to hide and get away. So this is a trade-off for them. So they don't have those hard protective outsides like a lot of animals do, a lot of other invertebrates do, but they do have the ability to change their colors to ink and to change the texture of their skin. Okay, so I also have a question here from Polly. How are arms and tentacles different? What a great question. And I am going to ask James to put on a video of a relative, my favorite actually in their whole family. This is a cuttlefish. Oh, well, here's a squid. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here's a cuttlefish. Watch what it's doing. There's a lot of things to notice in this video. So if you're watching, which do you think are the arms and which do you think are the tentacles? And we also can see an amazing display here of color change. Is that what you were expecting? If I were to say cuttlefish also change their colors? Let's watch this one again. There's a lot of good things to observe here. And I also see some more questions. Oh, now I'm just in a black screen. Maybe there's an octopus hiding here. So Polly, if you were watching that video, you can see that the tentacles, and actually, can we show that little graphic? I think we have a graphic in this. Yeah, that will give you a better look out the difference between the two. So here's an arm and here is a tentacle. If I ask you to point out any similarities, you will notice that they both have suckers or suction cups on there. So they're both able to grab with them and sense with them, but the tentacles only have them at the very tips. Tentacles tend to be a little bit longer as well than arms. So cuttlefish and squid, very close relatives of octopus, and I imagine the Nautilus as well. Yes, I'm getting a confirmation there. Look, I'm doing great today. They have, oh, here's our Nautilus. This is the most primitive member of this family. You'll notice that unlike squid, cuttlefish, and octopus, it has a shell here. So that is because they are in a big group of invertebrates called mollusks, which just means they all have soft bodies. And a lot of mollusks, most mollusks, have that hard shell to protect that soft body. Over time, octopus, cuttlefish, and squid evolved to lose that shell, and octopus have absolutely no remnant of that shell. And Nautilus, they're cephalopods, that's their whole group, and they're very awkward swimmers. In fact, pretty much all of these animals are. They are not very well adapted for swimming. I have a Nautilus shell. Maybe I'll get to that later where you can see the inside chambers, which is how they move up and down. So tentacles are used to grab their food, and then arms sort of wrap around to help that food stay there. And octopus do not have those tentacles. Instead, they rely on their 8 arms. And I am very happy about this next question, which is, have any of your octopus escaped? I wonder why you're asking that. It's almost as if octopus are known for being smart and very good escape artists. Well, here's another look at one blending in to a reef. I'm wondering if we can take a look at Groot, because Groot is, in fact, an octopus that kind of escaped here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. So Groot is, again, a giant Pacific octopus. And he's new. I can't remember when we got him. It's been about a year now. Okay, so we've had him for about a year. Now he weighs in at about 30 pounds. When we first got him, he was teeny tiny. He was only a couple pounds. So he has grown quite a lot. You can see him using his amazing camouflage abilities. And when we first got him, he did manage to escape behind his exhibit. So he found a hole somewhere in the wall and he snuck through it, because octopus can squeeze into very narrow spaces. As long as their beak is able to fit through it, that's the only hard part of their body. The rest of their body can follow that. And my friends, he got stuck behind his exhibit in the wall. He was in water still, but he could not find his way back. So our aquarist had to get very creative and drill openings and sort of create a pathway for him to get back. And they spent a lot of time then blocking the back of his exhibit. So when I say behind his exhibit, there is life support back there. So there is still water for him. And we had a lot of fun trying to find him, but we did. And now I don't think there have been any escapes since then. And Alex asked about the number of suckers. So for other species, I'm actually not sure. I know for the giant Pacific octopus, like I said, they have about 200 per arm. Is it a similar ratio? I'm going to look to James to look that up. It's a similar. Okay, so they have a lot of suckers on their arms. And again, they use those for tasting and smelling. So having a lot of them is very, very beneficial to them. It's definitely one of their adaptations. Now, one thing that I kind of want you to notice here, so there's lots of great things happening in this video. We see he's changing colors, changing texture, and then what was that? A little air bubble coming out. So if you've noticed, as they're moving around, there's this little tube right here. That is called their siphon. And this is how, again, they move, they breathe, and also how they squirt out their ink. Now, again, on the octopus, you might see there's like this big head-like thing, which might make you think, oh, they have a really big brain. We know they're smart. It's all up in there. So this is not true. This is actually called the mantle, and this has all of their organs. This has their guts. This has their hearts. This has their gills. It has everything. And so the siphon, they pull water in through the mantle, get water to the gills, and then they push it out through the siphon, and that is how they're able to swim. Here is a close-up look at what that looks like. You can see it pumping water over its gills now. We also get a really good look at their eye. What do you think? How does that look different from our eyes? They have a really unique shape to their pupil, which has a lot to do with how they're able to see and camouflage so well. All right, a few more questions have come in. So are there octopus in the open ocean? There are pelagic octopus out there, although most of them are found in and around reefs, or some will also spend time at the bottom of the ocean. Because remember, we're talking about an animal that has no hard coverings. It has no way of defending itself besides hiding. And so they will find little caves and crevices as their home, which they'll go back to. So it's really important that they are always aware of what's around them. So being out in the open ocean is not something that you would typically see an octopus, where you would see an octopus. And there's also a paper nautilus, which is not a nautilus. Just called the pelagic octopus. So I guess there is a species that does spend time out there in the open ocean. And the nautilus is a deep sea animal for the most part. They're found in pretty deep waters. But even though the octopus is typically not out in the open ocean, some of its relatives, like the squid, there's a lot of species of squid that you'll find out there. And I got a question about what eats octopus. Do seals eat them? Sea lions prefer to eat them. I would say a seal would eat them, but more likely you're going to find a sea lion eating them. And if you're not sure of the difference between a seal and a sea lion, that's a whole other topic we can cover on another day. But basically for a sea lion, you're looking for the ears and the big flippers. Seals, they have little bodies kind of like this. So But otherwise, they are very, very similar animals. All right, friends, have you noticed this octopus behind me? It's doing a great job of camouflaging here, isn't it? So these masters of disguise, I don't think I've actually talked about what those skin cells are called that allow them to change their color. So they and their relatives have what we call chromatophores, which are very specialized cells that allow them to change their color. So the way I kind of think of it is they have tons of these skin cells all over the body, of course, millions of them, and with lots of different color options that they can control. So if you think of like a balloon with full of paints, and then you squeeze that balloon, what's going to happen? That paint color is going to come up to the top, and that's what you're going to see. And if you release it, it comes down, and you'll squeeze another one, and another color will come up. And that is how their chromatophores function. And again, octopus aren't the only ones that have them. We saw that video of the cuttlefish that also has those chromatophores, and the way they use color change is very different. They will also use it to blend in, but if you saw that flashing, one of the reasons why they might be sort of flashing their colors is to mesmerize their prey. And it's also a form of communication between cuttlefish, and also octopus will also camouflage, or not camouflage, I'm sorry, color change to communicate. And this is a look at what those chromatophores look like. This is on a, it's just a squid. What's the name of this squid? An opalescent squid. Okay, so they don't have as many chromatophores or options for color change. They only have a few, but this is what that looks like when they're opening and closing those different colors. Now, they are also able, though, I'm sure you noticed, they are also able to change their texture. So that is those use different skin cells called papillae, which allows them to make them bumpy or have those spikes or completely smooth, depending on where they're blending in. Oh, hello, cuttlefish. So this is a cuttlefish. I think this is a giant cuttlefish, which is the largest species. And guess what? The largest species of cuttlefish only gets to be about 1 foot long. So very different from our giant Pacific octopus. Now, if you're thinking cuddle, it looks like I just want to cuddle it. I mean, I agree. I think they're adorable. But they actually get the name cuttle, spelled a little bit differently, from a cuttle bone that they have in their mantle here. And this is, again, a remnant of that shell from their ancestors, and is what gives their body structure. So when we think of octopus really being able to change all of their shapes, it's because they don't have anything giving them that structure anymore. They've completely lost that in their mantle. So they are completely reliant on swimming, changing color, etc. This is Dumpling, our day octopus, who's very active during the day, as you can imagine. That's where the name comes from. Most octopus are nocturnal, but not day octopus. They are known for coming out. And one thing I haven't mentioned too much about that I think I'll end with in our last few minutes here is their intelligence. So we talked a little bit about how they are able to potentially escape their exhibits. So what do we do here at the aquarium to make sure that maybe they don't want to escape and they are getting a full enriched life here? So we will do lots of things to stimulate our octopus's intelligence. So some of the things that we do, because in the wild, these octopus are hunting, they are protecting themselves, they are, living in a world where they're constantly having to defend themselves, essentially. Octopus here, they don't need to worry about that. We feed them, we, make sure they have the right water temperature. So instead, we just give them some toys. Anybody here like toys? Well, it's not just a toy. Do you notice anything in there? So that, my friends, is a crab, one of their favorite foods. And I think we can see Godzilla. This is Godzilla, another one of our giant Pacific octopus, getting pretty excited, seeing some color change. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, he is waiting, taking his time. And he's going for it. I think he's going to sink it like the Kraken. There he goes. So by putting their food in a toy or a box or something else, this gives them an opportunity to sort of figure out how they're going to get it. We can see those suction cups at work. I don't think this crab has a chance. And then you'll notice that it starts to wrap its arms around it. And that is exactly how they eat. And all octopuses, believe it or not, are actually venomous. So they do have their beaks and they have venom glands right here. Now, venom is, if you don't know the difference between venom and poison, venom is if you get stung or bitten, that's when you're in trouble. Poison is if you ingest it, then you get sick. So all octopus have venom to help subdue their prey. They are all carnivores, so they only eat other animals, and they actually tend to eat things that other invertebrates that have hard sort of outsides, things like shrimp, crabs. They'd probably eat some shellfish as well, because again, they aren't really the best swimmers, so they're not going to be able to really chase anything down. So they have to be able to catch their prey that's pretty slow moving. We saw some good examples of that with the cuttlefish as well. So they use their hard beaks to sort of pierce through those shells, and the venom, again, then helps subdue them. Okay, James, surprise me. What's one last thing we should talk about before we sign off here? If you have any last questions, go ahead and text them in. In the meantime, we can get a good look at these suction cups. That's where his mouth is, right there in the middle. Okay, surprise for me. Oh, I don't know this one. Ooh, looks like we have another good camouflage video here. This isn't a reef. Okay, so we started off by talking about where in the world these octopus are found. And this is, where is this reef? Do we know? We're not sure. A reef, somewhere out there. Ocean's a big place. But another example of amazing color change. So it's blending in perfectly with all of the green here. And the fish do not seem too bothered by it at all. Also a good view of how they can change their shape of their body. So some octopus will contort their body to look like other animals. So not only are they changing their color, their skin texture, but also their whole bodies. So they are amazing animals all around. All right, everyone. I hope you guys had fun talking about octopus with me this morning. One last question. I'm ready for it. Ah, yes. How do they poop? Very important question. I would not want to sign off without letting you know this. Are you ready? Well, first of all, any guesses? What do you think? I've already talked to you about some of their openings, remember? So they will excrete through their siphons is how they sort of excrete everything. Ink, poop, all things. All right, my friends. So thank you for asking that very important question at the tail end of our program here. We will be back on Wednesday at 9 and 10 a.m. for more programs. And our 10 a.m. program Wednesday is in Spanish. So please feel free to spread the word if you know anybody who would like to tune in for that program. Have a wonderful week, everyone. And thanks again for tuning in.